If you think that the market crash on October 10th was manipulation, I've got even some worse news. It actually started way before that, specifically on October 1st. We're gonna talk about the current cycle situation for Bitcoin, what can we expect until the end of 2025, what the indicators are telling us, some potential trade entries, and much more. Welcome to Crypto Predator, hit the like button and subscribe. So if you are an active crypto trader, chances are that you have been stopped out, or even worse, you got liquidated on October 10th. Just by the behavior of this week right here that you see, you can clearly see that this is not unusual market behavior. The liquidity to the downside was as further down as the 115, around this region right here. But surprisingly, the week went all the way down around the 100 level. Not only for Bitcoin, but to almost every altcoin as well. Some of them reached zero. But here's the truth, that kind of manipulation did not start on October 10th. It actually started on the Sunday pump, October 1st. If you see right here, the price was gradually increasing to the upside. But eventually, after it reached a little bit above the all-time high, it crashed. Market makers did this because they were actively looking for liquidity. They slowly tricked everyone that we were about to hit new all-time highs and the parabolic stage was about to start. The price was gradually increasing since October 1st because everyone believed that October is bullish. And then the first signs that we were about to hit a major reversal started to show up. I noticed liquidity sweeps from the upside. Usually when that happens, it is a major sign that the price is about to reverse. But I'm not gonna lie, I was caught off guard just like everybody else. However, this is why I always hammer in this channel the importance of trading with risk management. My stop loss was exactly at the 104 level. I was trading with a ×3 leverage. So luckily I got stopped out. I did not get liquidated. My liquidation price was at 77,000. But since I always trade with risk management with a 2% risk management, I actually got stopped out right here. And that's exactly the reason why, guys, I always preach the importance of risk management and not exposing yourself entirely to the liquidation price. Because unfortunately, the reality is, in the crypto trading market, that kind of stuff can happen. And guess what? It happened. So I always preach, do not use 50x, 100x, 80x, or whatever over leveraged amount you are using. You are going to get wrecked eventually. So again, always make sure you're using low leverage and don't forget about your stop loss. But still, the fact that the Bitcoin price held above the 100 level, this is actually good news. Because if you take a look at our base case right here that I forecast to you guys a couple of months ago, we are still above the 50 simple moving average on the weekly time frame. I was expecting a 2 dumps before we move up. And unfortunately, we got the manipulated week on October 10th. So the situation right now starts to ring me a couple of bells. I'm not a doom caller and I'm also an open only guy, but we have to be aware that time is running out. So we only have the next few days for the Bitcoin price to reverse aggressively and go to the upside. However, if the price crosses below the 100 level, which I consider to be a current strong demand zone, and if the weekly time frame closes below the 50 simple moving average on the weekly time frame, then yes, unfortunately, we are going to switch bullish. Until then, we're gonna watch the price one day at a time and make sound judgment decisions. The best we can do is to just watch, observe the price, control your exposure and your risk management. And because of the Friday week, I also have to update my weekly cycle count. When we saw the pump going on October 1st, I thought that that was the confirmation for a weekly cycle low. However, if you count from the previous weekly cycle count, we are still in the weekly cycle window. So I'm going to update my weekly cycle for today, Friday, October 17. And if you stop to notice, we have another daily cycle low window coming up right at the end of October. So I believe that the price behavior can be a little bit choppy until we continue to move up. But again, as we can see here, from the cycle theory, this must be the definite bottom. And because of that, by the end of November, we must be already at the all-time high and moving up. The other confluence that I have right now is the, of course, RSI. We have reached the bottom again at the 35 level, which increases the chance of a reversal going on pretty soon. And I also showed that on my previous video, the M2 global liquidity and the M2 rate also is showing signs of a bottom right here. And as you can see on the M2 global liquidity, we also have a strong wick to the downside. So most importantly, I believe that the M2 rate is about to reverse and we will see liquidity going back into the crypto market pretty soon. But from what I see the behavior of the M2 global liquidity, I don't see new all-time highs. I think that the price discovery cannot be too much high. And this is because I also see a lot of outflows coming up from the Bitcoin price. On my last video, we got tricked. I saw a lot of inflows coming up right here and I thought we were going into an uptrend. But as you noticed, there was the crash. So because of that, I don't think the price will go too much higher. Based on all that analysis, I can say that I have one last chance to place my trade before the blow off top. If we zoom in into the 4-hour time frame, this is exactly where I marked my weekly cycle low. On the daily time frame, I see a strong confluence of the DSS is about to reverse. And the same is also happening on the 4-hour time frame. Now, here's the big question. Where are my points of interest? The first thing that I want to talk about is the fear and greed index. We reached the fear level almost at the extreme fear, just like we had back in April. And in my opinion, this is a strong bullish confirmation. So like I always say in this channel, you're going to buy fear. And here's the tricky part about the points of interest. Right now, I see almost no liquidity to the downside. As you can see right here on the liquidation heat map, pretty much everything that was down, it was already taken. And we have a huge accumulation of liquidity to the upside. But if we zoom in closely, we are going to see there is still a little bit of liquidity right here piling up at the 104,400 level. So take into account that I do not see points of interest right now. I do not see any order blocks. I do not see any imbalances. If you look at the 4-hour candles, they are all liquidated. They are all filled. So we cannot consider this an order block, and we do not use wicks as an order block neither. So the strongest confluence that I have are both the liquidation right here sitting at the 104,400 and the fact that we are on the fear and greed index, as well as take into consideration that we are on the demand zone. And since this demand zone has been retested several times, I already placed my trade in this region with my stop loss at the 100 level, because I think it is quite unlikely that we're gonna cross below that wick. The reason I think that is quite simple. There is no more liquidity right here. And something that I started to do recently is to track profitable whales and what they're doing. And when I checked my tracker earlier today, I saw that they were mainly on a short position, and right now I noticed that the profitable whales that I've been tracking, they are now starting to switch bullish. Now this is the scenario that I'm hoping to happen, but I would not be surprised if I see a retest to the upside and the price will continue down slowly until the daily cycle low window. The other scenario is that as soon as we start next week, we are going to see a pump to the upside. We are going to be out of the weekly cycle window, and right after that, we are going to go into the daily cycle window. We're going to see some lows right here around the time, and then we are going to finally push to the upside in our last move. Now, like I said, my invalidation is if we get a weekly cycle candle closing below the 100 level as well as the 50 simple moving average on the weekly time frame. So since I'm limiting my exposure, I did not place any trades on Ethereum at this time, but I will be looking for a change of structure right here at this level in order to switch bullish. However, on XRP, I actually placed a trade. We are much further from the week low, and I believe that right now we tend to go up. Solana is ahead of the other cryptos. As you can see right here, it is already about to touch the first level of validation of the change of structure. Litecoin to me doesn't look good. It is actually quite distant from their all-time high. So I'm expecting the price to get at least above this level before starting to think about placing my trades. The same goes for Verge. I'm still seeing a lot of wicks from the up and to the downside, so I'm expecting this level right here in order to confirm a change of structure to the upside and then placing my new trade. It seems like Zcash already finished the cycle. They are about to go actually bearish. So tell me what you think. Are we going to be bullish or bearish next week? Put your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for watching. See you on the next video.